What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Common Sense Living, the show where we dive into financial and economic trends, gold and silver, and various business topics. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about gold IRAs, if you should own one, and four cons if you're thinking about getting one or setting up one. Now, overall, I think that having a gold IRA goes against some of the great reasons to own the precious metal in the first place. And just to start, it's important, in my opinion, to have money outside the system where you control it. But let me go ahead, let me get into the four disadvantages of having one of these. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of these disadvantages. So, the first disadvantage is that the physical gold has to be held in an IRA, and it must be stored in an IRS approved depository. Now, to me, the fact that it must be government approved here, this definitely makes me nervous that it actually has to be stored in something that's approved by the IRS. And we hear people talk about a potential gold confiscation possibly happening at some point down the road. And if that were to happen, I'm absolutely positive that if it were to happen, we would see the government come in and get this gold first. They would go to these big gold depositories, and they would just get that money out. There's no question in my mind. Now, the account owners, they would probably be made whole in cash, but basically, the account owners would never get the underlying assets like a lot of them may want to get. They would never be able to get the gold. Now, even if a private business owned the depository and it was something outside the government, which I know a lot of private businesses do, I think the government would come in and they would either force a sale or they would make such a great offer to the business just wouldn't be able to pass it up. And the business, even though they may tell all their customers, you'll get your gold when you want, don't worry about it, no worries down the road, they would just have no control, and they'd have to come in, and they would just all they would have to do is just give you cash. um, so the second disadvantage is around the distributions. And the first thing I'm going to mention here is the penalty if you withdraw it before age 59 and a half. Now, this is very similar to if you're owning stocks or bonds in an IRA, whether traditional or Roth, and you take out the money, those earnings, they're going to be taxed as ordinary income, and then you're going to have to pay a penalty as well. And it makes sense with something like that. That advantage of getting a tax deferral every year, because normally you're going to have to pay capital gains taxes on things like stocks each year. So getting that tax deferral is important. But gold and precious metals, that's something that you shouldn't have to pay tax on each year. So the government is really getting you in this situation in multiple ways. So they're getting you with that ordinary income tax on the withdrawal and whatever the asset increases. And then if you get it out before 59 and a half, they're going to get you with a penalty as well. And let's be real here. Anything can happen over the long term if you set this up when you're 35 or something and thinking of setting it up, and then you need the money at 50, you get laid off. You know, anything can happen. You may need the money. We see people, they don't want to sell their gold or silver at times, but it's something good to have, because if you get in a bad situation and you need to go out, it's something you can sell quickly. And this leads me to my third disadvantage, and this is a little more long term. You kind of have to think about if you set up something like that. Now, gold IRAs, like regular IRAs as well, they require a minimum distribution once you hit the age 70 and a half. And essentially, the government here is trying to get the taxes on those earnings, anything that you haven't put in and been taxed on yet. And the amount required goes up every year. So it's definitely something to think about if you're wanting to just collect gold or stack silver, and then you're wanting to pass it on to someone. You may not want to be forced to take it every year. Now, I will add in here that many places you can withdraw the your account balance in gold. They'll send you gold based on what the price is of the gold. But to me, it's really more about what the government's saying here. So the account is increasing in value, and the government's essentially saying, well, we know you lose money every year because we cause inflation, and we're not going to let you try to combat your loss of purchasing power. So gold goes up, it's keeping up with the, it's real money and it's keeping up. But essentially, the government's coming in and saying, we're going to tax you on that amount it's going up, even though you're just trying to keep up with costs and with purchases. Now, the fourth thing that's also important to consider if you're thinking of getting one um, is that there's higher fees with gold IRAs, and almost always they're going to be higher than just your regular Roth or traditional that's being invested in something like stocks or bonds, mutual funds. And again, these fees are going to essentially eat away at your gold value, your account balance every year. And to me, it's basically you're paying these fees for security and storage. There's no reason to be paying these. It's not something I think that one should really do if you can not have to do it. Now, there's different fees charged on the account, like custodian fees, storage cost, and one that really is I find to be um, almost outrageous are the cash out fees. So, say at 50, 55, you need to take your money out, you're going to have to pay ordinary income tax. You're going to have to pay a penalty, and then you're also going to have to pay a cash out fee. And and that's just for getting your gold that you could otherwise just store at home or store somewhere else, another secure place. Now, one other thing to think about is there can be setup costs along the way. Some sellers, they charge fees. It's something you've really got to watch out for. Watch out for some slime balls trying to charge you an outrageous setup fee. Um, but of course, I'll acknowledge that some people might want to own gold, but maybe they're just not at that point in their life where they can take ownership. If you travel a lot for your job or you live in a dangerous area, this is definitely understandable to me, although I'm definitely not in that situation. And I think a lot of people who stack tend to have, a secure area. They tend to want to have it in a place where they know, where the government doesn't know, but they know. Now, some people might diversify and they may own a gold IRA and gold at home. And that could be good from just a diversification protection perspective because essentially, say that someone breaks into your home and they steal your gold, they steal some of your silver. Well, you've still got some gold out there. You still know that you've got some down the road that you're going to get. Um, on the other hand, say that your gold with the firm, say something happens with that firm, and you're not made whole for some reason, or the government comes in and confiscates it. Well, you got the gold at home as well. So I can definitely understand doing that. But to me, overall, I'd say that one of the greatest advantages of gold or silver or copper, platinum, it's that you have the real money outside the system. No worries about taxes each year. No worries about penalties. It's going to be insurance in a SHTF scenario, uh, many different types of scenario. It's a liquid asset. You can always sell it to someone. And it's also going to be an inflation and deflation hedge as it's preserving your purchasing power. Well, that's all I've got for today in this episode. If anyone has a gold IRA, any other advantages, disadvantages you want to put in there, just write it in the comments. Um, Please like, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. Thanks for watching.